Great. All right.
All right, I have 7 o'clock. We will call the town board meeting for October 2nd, 2023 to order. If you'll notice, we're missing one supervisor. Steve Ruzek is on vacation, so I think Scott and I can handle it. First item on the agenda is the approval. Patrick, any changes, deletions?
No additions or deletions, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 3 is approval of payment of bills. Scott, you looked them over?
I did, and I move to approve.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Item 4 is approval of minutes from September 18, 2023.
I saw no changes. Move to approve.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item 5 is a consent agenda item. We have about a dozen here.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull item 5E, the Bear Scare Fun Run. I'd like to talk about that just a little bit.
All right.
Otherwise, I will move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion carries. So if we go to 5E, this is the Bel Air Beach Fun Run.
I noticed in the certificate of insurance, the certificate holder is listed as White Bear Lake Township, which is not technically the name of the township. So I would request that if staff can work through getting that corrected with the producer or the insured, then I can go ahead and move to approve this item, if that works.
Staff will edit the certificate.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So then I move to approve consent item 5E, Bear Scare Fun Run,
As amended.
as amended.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, moving on. Item 6 is old business. We have none. 7 is a public hearing. We have none. So we'll move right into new business. This is 5513 Bald Eagle Boulevard. You going to take that, Patrick?
Sure, Mr. Chair, and I believe we have the owner of the property here to speak on this. They are looking for an access or utility access right away for construction purposes at the property. Staff does have a couple of comments, but I think it probably would be wise to have the applicant speak to this.
Okay.
All right, Bruce, you want to come and just give me your name and address for the record?
Okay. And then if I could, I have a couple extra
Sure.
things I'd like to bring up. Let's see here.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm Travis Visser. My wife and I own the house there at 5513 West Bald Eagle Boulevard. I did add a couple of pictures and a satellite view that kind of give you a little better idea of what exactly we're asking for. I don't know if you all, did you have a chance to read through the letter so we can kind of
Yes.
save some time with that? basically just asking for temporary access just for the next year or so until we get all our construction done at the house. It's just such a small lot. It's just really hard to access everything from the street. I think on that satellite view picture that I have, our property is a red property there. It's kind of an L-shaped, and then the yellow is the neighbors on either side, and the blue is the White Bear Township, basically the access. There's 2 manhole covers in the back, and basically the city works department uses that to get back there to clean out the sewers when they need it or whatever they do. And basically we're just asking for, it's not an everyday. We're not asking to use it as a driveway or anything like that. Just when we do have the roof trusses delivered or building material, that we can use that just temporarily to access, put everything in the back of the property. Our front yard is really small. There's just nowhere to go for it. And so I don't. Do you have any questions or?
This additional map that you just provided helps, because I was going to ask exactly where is it that you're going on, but I see the blue is much cleaner now. And so, as you said, it's just periodic deliveries.
That's all it is. That's all it is. Just until we get done with our building.
You had mentioned in your letter that there was some concern about using your driveway because of the cobblestones, because of the weight. Is it safe to assume that the weight of these trucks would not do any damage to that easement area?
No, the big city pump trucks that they have are way bigger than anything that we'd have use that. So I'm assuming here, but on the there wouldn't be any issue, I wouldn't think, with that. It was pretty heavy duty. That was all redone. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they put a new lining. They actually, when they relined the sewer that runs from H2, we actually they asked us if they could put a temporary sewer pipe through our backyard. So one summer we had this big black pipe running through a backyard, and it just made it easier for them. But I think the trucks that I've seen back there, we're not gonna hurt anything.
And then I know you said that there's some work now, but there'll be more next year. Do you have kind of like a rough target? Maybe it was in there and I missed it, as to when you'll be done.
I'm hoping by the end of next year, the fall.
So about this time, maybe a little later.
I would think so. I don't want to commit myself exactly to that. It's just everything is always takes longer than you expect. It's just how we had to go about doing everything, and we had to build the garage first, and I've got to move everything this winter and then knock those down, and then we can start the addition, and it's just kind of
Construction fun.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done with it though, and we've lived there now for 14 years, and I've never been out on the lake, so I'm hoping one of these years we can get done with our projects and enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, first off, thanks for coming to us asking for permission, because we have a lot of people that do this. When it's all done, then they ask for forgiveness.
Sure. Yeah.
So we appreciate that. I know you've been having some correspondence with our building inspector,
Mr.
Mike Johnson.
Yes.
And I think when I talked to him, he's fairly comfortable. You guys aren't destroying anything, but he also wanted to make sure that you preserved it and put it back to a condition it was before you started this whole thing, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. That I will do. In fact, if that house in the color photograph that I gave you, that house is actually my dad had lived there. He sold it last year. The new neighbors, actually, my dad and the new neighbors, they actually maintain that right away. They mow it and fertilize it and keep it looking nice. So. Just out of respect to them, at the very least, I would make sure that that's restored to the normal condition. And
Mr. Chair, I would also add from a staff perspective along those same lines is that Public Works is requesting that in case of emergency and we need access back there, that no debris is left that would impede the Public Works crew getting back.
absolutely, yeah. Okay. In fact, when in that photograph, there were several trees that fell down in one of the storms a few months ago. And, my neighbor and I, we went out there and cut everything out and hauled it to the compost site up there. So, we try and take care of it like it's our own. And so we don't call and ask, hey, you guys got to come and clean all this stuff up. We try and take care of it. And it's something that we also want to keep nice because it's where we live.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to refer to you, Chad. I know we've had this issue before. Is there any legal opinion on them maintaining the property?
Well, actually, I suggest you is grant them a license, which gives them the right to use this for access, subject to the condition that they don't block it. They don't store equipment there or supplies there, and that is for a year. Let's say November 1 of 2024. Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they agreed to restore the surface the same condition as existed prior to the license being granted.
That sound okay to you, Travis?
That sounds fair.
I think it only so it's up front, we have something in writing, and then we're all gonna feel comfortable. Things can change in a heartbeat, and, I mean, so it just, it cleans it up, put it that way.
Absolutely, yeah. And then as far as like the November 1st date, if things do run longer, can I come back?
Oh, yeah.
We can always revisit that.
We can extend it.
Well, maybe it'd be easier to just give you maybe make it till December 1.
Or just to the end of the year.
Yeah, or till, December 31st of 2024.
Is that something, Chad, you can draft up?
Sure,
or is-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is we'll have staff keep in touch with you folks. When we get something drafted up,
Okay.
come in, sign it, and we're good to go.
Perfect.
That work?
Thank you so much.
Anything else?
No.
All right, thanks, Travis.
All right, thank you so much.
So I don't know where we stand in point of order here, Mr. Chair, whether or not we need to approve the request as
I was
is,
just
or
going to ask, do we need a motion on that?
I think we need a motion to defer to staff to draft,
Okay.
whatever you want to call it, license.
Formulate that one, Scott?
So I will move to have staff create a license for the folks at 5513 Bald Eagle Boulevard to access the utility right-of-way for construction purposes, subject to the various items the council just suggested, and that it be returned to the prior condition when all is said and done. This license would be through the end of the year 2024.
Also, no material to impede public works access in case of emergency.
All right, I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That motion carries. All right, moving on, for new business, we have item 8B. This is Weston Woods irrigation plan discussion. Patrick, you want to?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have representatives from the Weston Woods Townhome Association. We've been working through their requests to the Utility Commission and staff for the past several months. They are here to discuss those dealings with the board.
All right, gentlemen, just your name and address for the record?
Roger Ocel, O-C-E-L, 726 Crescent Curve, White Bear Township. Okay. Some background, Weston Woods of White Bear Township is a townhouse association comprised of 153 units. We have a centralized irrigation system which has 4 pumping stations. From 2021 to 2022, we had a substantial increase in our township water bills. So we analyzed the situation and found that our water bills went from $25,354 to $39,521. Well, our usage went down from 6,800 gallons to 5,800 gallons for 2021 and 2022 respectively. Our billing increased 14,167,000, 55.8%, while our usage decreased 972,000 gallons or 14%. The reason for the increase was that the town board authorized an increase for the water irrigation systems from a level 3, which we had previously talked to the city about 10 years ago, to a level 4, which jumped it from $3.87 per 10,000 to $6.55 per 10,000. Over the last 15 years, the board has been conscious of water usage, and we've taken many measures to reduce our water usage in order to minimize our billing. Approximately 10 years ago, we had a meeting with township officials to stress the fact that they wanted to bill our irrigation at the 4th billing tier, the highest tier. And I believe that was when he installed meters. And when I looked at the rates, metered rates, I says, we're not going that high. So we had discussions with the city at that time, or the township. And it was they agreed that they were going to drop the billing rate to the third level. We had done a study at that time of water usage by our residents. And our residents typically use below 10,000 gallons per quarter. And I did another study just recently and found out it's the same. And I believe that Pat had somebody, look at it and they come up to the same conclusion. Looking at our water usage during the irrigation months and dividing the water usage by our 153 residents, and you add that to the 10,000 gallons or less that they use, it still don't come to the third highest billing level, or probably come into that third highest billing, not the 4th level, which is the $6.55. Our main argument is that township is treating townhome associations differently than single-family residents that have irrigation system and get billed at the tiered system. I've calculated the average per cost usage in approximately 8,500 gallons per billing quarter, puts an average resident at the second billing tier. I guess we want to be treated fairly and compared to, a single-family residence that has its own irrigation system. We're getting dinged because we have a central irrigation system and it's billed separately. That's been our argument all along, and I guess I wanted the town board to know that and see if they couldn't rectify the situation in the future.
Well, I know this was brought up to the utility commission, and Scott, you've been involved in this from day one. Can you give us kind of a background from them?
Well, what Roger just explained is what you and somebody else,
Frank
had shown up and made essentially the same statements. And the committee had some questions, and then because there were a couple committee members that were absent, we tabled it to the next meeting, and it was a pretty thorough discussion. I think the question that did come up is, I know you've quoted that you're down about 970 gallons year over year, and roughly.
It varies because, weather.
You're down substantially from prior year in gallons, while the rate seems to have gone up.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And intuitively, that sounds like it doesn't make sense. I know that there was a discussion about the fact that the township is being pressured by outside agencies to watch water, and we had that conversation. You're already aware of that. But one of the questions that I think did come up was there had been some questions about how you came up with that reduction in the amount of volume in water. And I believe that the finance department was not able to come up with that same reduction. Is that a?
Not the same, no.
Okay, so that was a big question that I think.
I can show you the figures if you want. I've got them.
Well, I know that there had been.
I think there was some problem you didn't have all 4 pumping stations.
Is that what it was?
My understanding, and again, you've worked with staff or had more conversations than with staff, my understanding was that there had been some back and forth about getting those numbers that you've just offered to give us, and had not had them by last month's utility meeting.
Was unaware that you were looking for those.
I think we've got everything from them. It was, they weren't jiving with the numbers that finance
I
had.
can
Well,
show
so-
you that quarter by quarter basis.
Hold on, let's let him finish.
So there needs to be that reconciliation between the two of how did you come up with those reductions when we're not seeing it in what is billed out.
Okay.
And I don't know how you came up with the numbers other than getting the bill.
I've got all the bills, and that's where I got the numbers from.
Okay, so is that what we need to have as a reconciliation between finance and?
Now that you mention it, there might have been one of the, and I thought it was one of the pumps wasn't accounted for from the association. I think we had them all, but I can't remember. I don't have, and Tom's not here tonight.
And Tom's
Gone for
not.
a week, so.
I will drop off a copy of my spreadsheet.
I was going to say, because obviously we're not going to resolve this tonight, especially
No, I know.
not knowing what,
We know
if
that.
there's a discrepancy between your numbers and the township's numbers, then we're going to have to go back to square one.
I guarantee you, well, my numbers are accurate.
Well, you're on record.
Stand by them, okay?
I know that there was also discussion while you and
Frank?
Frank, were at the meeting, and then the next meeting, the Utility Commission still had a more robust discussion about the emphasis that is being pushed onto residents is to conserve water. And I know you gave us documentation from your irrigation company that is all the steps that have been taken. I noticed, or I heard you say earlier that you were looking for some parity or
Equality.
equality between the townhouse association being built and residences. And I think what it may be focused on is a residence is billed with one bill, and the townhouse association is billed with one bill, even though it goes out, you divide it up among yourselves. And then,
It all goes into our general operating
Right.
fund, and it's paid out of there,
you
and
guys figure that out.
it's reflected in the dues.
But your comment that the average resident would typically fall into the lowest tier
Yes.
is kind of lost in the shuffle because we don't bill them individually. We bill them as one group. I'm sorry, let me finish. I will let you speak.
Okay, fine.
But the fact that it is one bill makes it appear to be larger, and it does push you into the larger tier.
Yes.
The emphasis, again, is wanting to conserve water. I know, we've gone through this, you guys are trying that, but that was the concern from the Utility Commission. I think that covers it. Go ahead.
Each individual townhouse gets their own water bill. And I analyzed what a typical townhouse would be and looked at their water bills and saw that they're below 10,000 gallons.
But each individual townhouse does not water their little plot of land.
No, they may water some bushes or something, but that's
Okay.
about it.
But all the common areas, and that's with one, or I guess 4 different
Right, 4 bills.
accounts. So I believe that was my recollection as to the gist
Mike
of
too. Mike? Yeah.
the comments.
Mike is from our utility commission.
Okay.
Well, how many townships or associations do we have in the township?
6.
6?
We
And
represent 153 units, and I think there's one on this side of 96, that's about 100, and slightly bigger than that.
what I'm getting at, we have 6 in the township, so if we're even considering doing any kind of a modification, we're going to have to look at all 6.
And that was
Because
the
to be treating you equally, we need to treat all those associations equally. So this isn't just a matter of trying to work out some sort of agreement with you folks. The board has to look at this specifically, that this is going to affect 5 other associations, so. And that's a matter of, again, we're going to end up going back to Tom Kelly to see if what you're saying and what Tom's coming up with makes sense, and then it's going to go back to utility commission again, probably, if we're even thinking about changing the way we build this.
I don't know how many of them have separate irrigation systems.
I'm not sure either.
I couldn't tell you that. Every association's a little bit different.
That's right.
I know when developers come into the town and the first thing they say is we're going to have a homeowners association, I just cringe because usually what happens is they're great for about 5 years and then they dissolve. And then we're going through these battles with individuals but I think that's where we're going to have to leave it. I don't know, we're not going to solve anything tonight, but we need to confirm with our finance officer.
Just so the board knows, the association isn't looking for a refund. They're looking for a rate adjustment going forward.
Oh, I understand
Correct,
that.
gentlemen? Yes.
But the utility commission does a really extensive job of, I mean, well, you know, they dissect this thing. Every time we even think about our utility, in fact, I don't even think we had a rate increases. Or did we?
We did nothing for it this
No,
year.
and usually they're always playing with those numbers, so. But I think with staff, we'll be able to get back to you with something.
Okay.
Tom is back next Monday, so we'd be able to run it.
Well, we've been,
I think it's better to have him do that, not under the pressure of a meeting discussion. At a public meeting, we should probably be doing this one-on-one.
Well, but he's also gonna have his computer in front of him and all this. It's
Totally
not
agree.
something that's gonna be easily,
I got to remind you that our residents are, I don't know, average age 70 above.
Above.
And I did a quick review of my block, was 22, that'd be 11 homes, which is 22 residents, 'cause they're doubles. And out of the 22, 8 of them are single people, live alone. And I didn't look at any of the bills from the single people, but I can't believe they use a lot of water. Everybody's, average age, I don't know, 70 plus.
and that's a target we've been, who is it, 75 gallons individual, 90,
75 per residential,
Yep.
and then 90 overall.
90 overall.
so that 75 target's really almost being mandated by the courts for us. So that's where when we look at water usage, we're doing our best to try to get that number to within when were they want for the lawsuit, the demands of the
Oh, it's
lawsuit.
mandated not only by the lawsuit, it's also mandated by the DNR.
Right. So we're under a lot of pressure with that number too. That's why our rates are always looked at and always
Understand.
adjusted. Just, I hate to say it, but sometimes we have to punish people who use too much water because we're forced to make hard choices on, but I understand. And we go through this with refuge removal with senior citizens. We see this in all aspects of the township, so. But trust me, we'll work it out for you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We don't need a formal action here, do we?
No, not for
okay.
now.
All right, moving on. Last one is, HC, it's the pickleball court request.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the park board, through staff evaluation and discussion, would like to introduce discussion on putting in some pickleball courts within the township. What you have in front of you is just kind of a general consent from the park board that they are interested in pursuing this. And we also got a quote of what, just to give the board an idea of the parameters, about $24,000. I think what we're looking for this evening is just kind of a consent from the board to pursue something along these lines. With one little caveat I'd like to add is that it's just in principle right now. We aren't tied to 4 seasons. Staff believes that we could probably find, if we were really interested in adding our pickleball court inventory, we could find another park that's in more need of help and maybe make this kind of a centerpiece to improving that park. But for right now, this evening, we just kind of want consent from the board to go further on down the line here to see if this is something that we can do.
It's too bad Steve isn't here.
Yeah.
Because,
This
he'd
is
be
his
all
deal.
hits.
Then he would be doing the PR for it right now, yeah.
So the 2 pages that are typed up with the schematics drawn, was that submitted by the park board or by outside entities?
Park board.
Park board typed this up?
Yep.
Okay, so they are coming up with these dimensions and the explanation. I see that the parking lot, I guess, is also, they were recommending a larger parking lot. The last sentence on the second page says, this is a review of other options in the area that would make this change more enticing. Was there supposed to be more, or was that like totally separate topics?
Totally separate topics.
Okay.
So the park board may really want to emphasize Four Season Park for this project. If we are serious about getting involved in this type of a project, I think we expand our vision to other parks that might need a little more help, and this might be a good way to do that.
I know I just read that pickleball apparently is quite popular. I have no idea if people still play tennis. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear Steve's input, because I know he's in a league, but
I'll tell you that they do.
I I mean, as long as these are getting used one way or the other, I guess that's the main intent. I was surprised at the pricing, but then what do I know?
Do you think it was too high, too low?
I don't do any construction work, so to me, that's way high.
Okay.
But again, I don't build things, so I don't know if that's,
And again, I think the project cost, be it up or down, changes with the parameters or the vision of what the project could be, and it might be more with a different park.
and this would be coming out of one of the park funds.
Correct.
I think that's it.
Well, I was just confused when I saw this because it didn't look like minutes from the park board. This looked like something submitted from the contractor.
No.
So, because I didn't see, was there a formal motion from the park board? Was there a vote?
This is their recommendation,
But
yes.
there's nothing here that says that. There's nothing here that says
Yeah.
how the vote went.
Yeah, you're right.
So when I saw this, I went, where are the minutes from the park board? This is drafted up like some sort
They
of.
were, I don't think those minutes have been approved yet.
Okay. And then, where'd they get the bid? Is this just, I mean, we only got one, did they
Just
just?
got the one to get an idea where the project would fall, potentially, that's all. We didn't want to go out for formal bidding yet because the project hasn't been approved, so.
And then I'm a little concerned if the park board sketched this up, is this even legal pickleball dimensions?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Well, they threw it in there, but I don't even know if our tennis court with these modifications would qualify as a pickleball court that's up to the specs. So that was another concern I had. And plus two, parking, we have no clue. We'd have to have the engineer and public works look at this for what would be involved. So just the price of converting this to pickleball, it could be just that way more than that just to change the parking lot.
Again, depending on where we end up doing that, yeah, all those costs and could change.
And obviously, that we're going over an existing tennis court, so it's going to be cheaper. But to me, all they're doing is throwing up some nets and restriping. Like with you, 23,000 seems like a lot of money.
Actually, that's exactly what they do with pickleball, is restripe them. And lower the nets.
Yeah, there's a 2-inch difference in the nets, so it's really, whatever, but that price seemed a little off.
What I would suggest is if the board is comfortable with this idea in principle, direct staff to go back to the park board, say that you are comfortable with it, but that we need to find some more firm parameters to work with and keep going on down the road. That's what I would say.
I would say conceptually, I think if this is the new sport that residents are using and there's a demand to use these parks, sure, sounds like a great idea. Obviously, there was a lot of questions about the details, which I think you said, this is just a concept, let's not get into the weeds, which we did right away.
What are you saying?
Thank you for noticing.
We do
Devil's in
that.
the details,
That's true.
In concept, it sounds like a great idea, lots of questions, price being one, schematics being another. So, yeah, if we could get some more information, I think, from my perspective, it would make sense.
Well, that was my last item anyways. Obviously, we're going to have to either continue the discussion only because with Steve not being here, he sits on the park board, so did he sit through this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to hear his input besides that. And I don't think we'd have a problem with recommending the park board to pursue interest in even other parks. Because I know Steve's got one by his house and he plays quite a bit over there. Now, whether Four Seasons is just not the right spot where it wouldn't draw attention, maybe we've got a better park. But it's nice to start with already the tennis court. Because it would be very expensive if you're going to have to put the court in. Now we're talking a lot of money.
The other thing too to consider is recreation grants as well. I mean, if this does become an extensive project where we are looking to, for lack of a better term, urban renewal of an existing park that needs help, there are funds available for that too that we can pursue.
All right, all questions, we can move to the park, back to the park board.
Okay.
You need a motion for that, or? just,
No, I don't think so. Just kind of consent at this point, and that's fine.
I think this was just informational purposes only, so there's no need to take any action.
Right.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, thanks, folks.
We have no added agenda items. Number 10 is open time. I notice we have some students here. Anybody want to come up and complain how we run the township? Oh,
I'll give them time, they will
We have a
eventually.
resident here, Mike, you got anything?
I can give you the pickleball dimensions.
Pass.
Actually, I looked them up too, so. All right, hearing no one for open time, item 11 is I need a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements.
So moved.
I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I need a motion to adjourn at 7:33.
So moved.
Thank
And
you,
I'll
gentlemen.
second, we are adjourned.
Aye.
We have to put everything back to,
No.
oh, good.
If you folks got papers that you need signed, you can come on up.
You know, actually, in our neighborhood, right across the pond from our house, there's a tennis court.
You give half of them to Scott?
Just down the north side, northwest